Look around. The waiting rooms are full, the pharmacies are booming, and the average person is walking toward a horizon of pill organizers and hospital beds. We have been conditioned to believe that your golden years are a slow, painful descent into fragility. This is the ultimate deception. It is a manufactured reality designed to keep you in a state of permanent chemical dependency. They call it the natural course of life, but it is a calculated extraction of your health. Welcome to the nutritional matrix, where the solutions to your survival are hidden behind a wall of synthetic substitutes and corporate propaganda that they have built. What if the narrative of inevitable decline was actually a choice? Imagine a single, vibrant leaf, a biological miracle growing in the dirt. While you drink milk for bone health, this leaf carries 17 times more calcium. While you reach for a banana to stop a cramp, this plant offers 15 times the potassium. It even defies the laws of the plant kingdom by providing 9 times the protein found in yogurt. It is a complete fuel source, a self-replicating pharmacy that requires no prescription. It is the fruit of eternal youth, hidden in plain sight. It is a silent rebellion against a system of human decay. But if this plant is a literal biological cheat code for the human body, why is it missing from every grocery store shelf in the country? The answer isn't a mistake. It's a very deliberate strategy. The machine thrives on your weakness. Every trillion-dollar industry surrounding our modern lifestyle depends on a singular, grim reality. You must remain fragile. Big Pharma and Big AG have engineered a cycle of monetized sickness where the human body is treated with the same planned obsolescence as a smartphone. They don't profit from your vitality. They harvest your decay. This is why the most potent botanical solutions are systematically suppressed. When a plant offers total independence, it becomes a threat to their bottom line. This isn't just about ignorance. It is about active control. In suburbs across the nation, local ordinances and aggressive HOAs have begun labeling this miracle tree as an invasive weed or a public nuisance. They use the guise of aesthetic standards to strip away your food sovereignty, ensuring you remain tethered to their fragile supply chains. If you can grow your own longevity in a pot on your porch, their multi-billion-dollar supplement empire collapses. The censorship is accelerating. Underground seed-saver groups are being quietly deplatformed, their digital footprints erased under the banner of biosafety. The window of opportunity is slamming shut. As genetic modification laws tighten globally, the ability to acquire pure, unaltered heirloom seeds is becoming a revolutionary act. Once the genetic sequence of our food is owned by a corporation, nature itself becomes proprietary. We are witnessing the privatization of human survival. They want you to believe that health is something you buy, not something you possess. They are terrified of a population that doesn't need their synthetic fixes. This suppression is a direct assault on your biological freedom. By criminalizing the garden, they ensure that the grocery store remains your only sanctuary. This is the invisible fence built around your potential. They don't want you to have a pharmacy in your backyard that grows 6 feet a year. They want you in the checkout line. They want you desperate for their permission to live. This is the truth they buried deep in the shadows of history. And here is the raw, undeniable data they're absolutely terrified you will ever come to actually find. The long wait is finally over. The botanical entity that has the power to dismantle the healthcare industrial complex is Moringa Oleifera. This is not just a tree. It is nature's rebellion against the harshest environments on our planet. While other crops wither and die in the parched, cracked earth of the desert, Moringa thrives, pulling nutrients from deep beneath the surface where nothing else survives. In the underground survivalist community, it has earned a haunting nickname, the Green Ghost. It is called this because it appears where life should be impossible, providing a spectral level of nourishment in the deadest of zones. It is the ultimate secret weapon for anyone seeking total independence from a failing system. This is a plant that provides what no industrial laboratory can replicate. A full spectrum of life-sustaining compounds delivered in a form that the human body recognizes as kin. To the authorities, its rapid growth and extreme resilience represent an illegal vitality that cannot be easily taxed or regulated. It is a ghost in the machine, a living defiance of the controlled scarcity we are told is normal. When the supply chains snap and the shelves are stripped bare, The green ghost remains standing, silent and ready. It doesn't need a tractor, it doesn't need chemical fertilizers, and it doesn't need a permit to exist. It is the purest expression of ancestral power still available to the modern rebel. For those who know how to harvest its leaves, pods, and roots, it offers a level of physical sovereignty that makes the modern medical establishment obsolete. It is the living bedrock of a new, decentralized health reality for everyone. But it's not just about vitamins. When you look at the molecular level, this plant is doing something to your DNA that shouldn't be possible. The truth about your longevity isn't found in a laboratory. It is etched into the cellular structure of this plant. We must look closer at what makes Moringa a genuine biochemical miracle. At its core, this tree contains a concentration of cytokinins that defies biological norms. Specifically, it is the richest known source of zeatin. In the human body, zeatin doesn't just nourish. It acts as a signal, a commander that dictates the rate of cell division. It works to delay the inevitable shortening of your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that govern the aging process. While the system pushes the narrative of slow cellular erasure, this plant provides the instructions for preservation. This is the science they keep from the textbooks because it renders their expensive interventions unnecessary. Consider the sheer density of its defense systems. Moringa contains 46 different antioxidants and 36 distinct anti-inflammatory compounds. These aren't just numbers on a page. They are a sophisticated biological shield. They work in synergy to neutralize free radicals that cause oxidative stress. It is the internal rust that eats away at your vitality. Most people try to fight this with store-bought multivitamins, but they are consuming synthetic trash. These industrial supplements are often made from coal tar derivatives and petroleum byproducts. Your body sees them as foreign invaders, not fuel. They have almost zero bioavailability, passing through your system while providing nothing but a false sense of security. They are, in many ways, an industrial poison masquerading as health. Now, compare this to the raw, potent juice of a Moringa leaf. When you consume this plant in its natural form, your body recognizes every molecule. The nutrients are wrapped in the precise enzymes needed for absorption. While people spend hundreds of dollars on luxury anti-aging serums filled with toxic fillers and synthetic fragrances, the secret to youthful skin and internal regeneration is growing in a pot. A $100 serum cannot compete with the transdermal and internal impact of a plant that has mastered survival in the most punishing climates on Earth. The cosmetic industry relies on your ignorance of this fact. They sell you the illusion of youth in a glass jar, while nature offers the reality in a green leaf. This biochemical profile creates a state of internal resilience that the modern medical establishment simply cannot monetize. You cannot patent a tree, and you cannot control a person who has mastered their own cellular health. This is why you will never see a commercial for Moringa during the evening news. The data is clear, the science is peer-reviewed, and the results are visible to anyone brave enough to step outside the prescribed path of the nutritional matrix. We are talking about a level of efficiency that should be front-page news. If everyone knew they could regenerate their cellular health for the cost of a handful of dirt, a trillion-dollar industry would vanish overnight. And that is precisely why they have now moved into the next global cover-up. The economic architecture of our world is built on the concept of ownership. If you cannot own it, you cannot monetize it. This is the fundamental patent problem that Moringa poses to the global hierarchy. You cannot patent a wild tree that grows with such reckless abandon. Because nature provides this abundance for free, it represents a direct threat to the foundation of the pharmaceutical empire. To the elite gatekeepers of our health, a solution that costs nothing is more than just an alternative. It is a liability that must be managed and neutralized. Behind closed doors, massive corporations have spent decades and millions of dollars trying to solve this problem. They are not looking to give you the tree. They are looking to dismantle it piece by piece. They use advanced laboratory techniques to isolate specific compounds from the leaves and seeds, attempting to create synthetic analogs that can be branded, bottled, and sold as proprietary life extension drugs. They want to sell you the essence of the plant at 1,000% markup while the raw material remains dismissed by the mainstream media. This is the brutal logic of the profit margin at work. While they seek to capitalize on its biochemical power, They simultaneously engage in aggressive, high-level lobbying. They work tirelessly to ensure that Moringa is kept far away from any official dietary guidelines or public health recommendations. By keeping it off the approved lists, they ensure it stays in a legal gray area, never quite reaching the status of a recommended nutrient for the general public. They have effectively criminalized the idea of true nutritional self-sufficiency. If the public realized that the key to reversing age-related decline was growing in their own neighborhood, the entire structure of the supplement industry would collapse overnight. The threat is not that the plant is dangerous, but that it is entirely too effective for their comfort. They need you to believe that health is a complex, high-tech product that only their laboratories can provide. They want you to ignore the fact that for thousands of years, humans did not need a prescription for vitality. By suppressing the raw, unadulterated form of this plant, they maintain a total monopoly on your physical well-being. They have turned the simple act of harvesting nature into a subversive and rebellious gesture. This is not just a matter of health policy. It is a calculated economic containment strategy designed to keep the population dependent and the corporate coffers full. Every leaf you grow is a crack in the armor. It's not just a plant. It's an economic weapon. And it's a weapon our ancestors used to survive the very same collapses we are facing today. History is not a series of accidents. It is a curated narrative of those who won. To understand the true power of Moringa, we must look back thousands of years into a forbidden history that has been systematically erased from modern memory. We travel to the ancient Mauryan Empire. These were the warriors who successfully repelled Alexander the Great, and their secret was not tactical, it was biological. Records from that era describe elite soldiers who were fed the extract of the Moringa plant before battle. It gave them what eyewitnesses described as superhuman stamina and an uncanny resistance to pain. This was ancestral sovereignty in its purest form. These warriors were not dependent on a fragile trade route for their strength. They carried it within them, fueled by a tree that grew beside their homes. However, as the centuries turned and colonial powers began their global expansion, they realized that a healthy, independent population was impossible to control. To build an empire, you must first create a dependency. The colonizers didn't just take the land. They took the knowledge of how to live from it. They began the process of erasure, replacing the diverse, nutrient-dense forests of the indigenous people with sterile rows of export crops. They swapped life-giving trees for sugar, tea, and cotton crops that could be taxed, traded, and controlled, but could never sustain a human body. This was a tactical strike against the resilience of the people. By removing the Moringa tree, they ensured the local populations were chronically malnourished and physically subservient. A weak body is a compliant body. This is why you won't find this history in your schoolbooks. The knowledge of how to maintain peak performance without the permission of a centralized authority is considered dangerous information. They want you to believe that the past was a time of primitive struggle, but in reality, our ancestors possessed a sophisticated understanding of botanical energy that we are only now beginning to rediscover. This ancient wisdom is the ultimate threat to those who keep you chained to their synthetic reality. It provides a clear path toward physical freedom that requires no middleman. This is the quiet resistance of the truly enlightened. They scrubbed it from the textbooks, they couldn't scrub it from the earth. It's still here, waiting. But do you know how to find it before the system labels your garden a biohazard? To claim your independence, you must learn to cultivate in the shadows. This is not traditional farming. It is a guerrilla operation. You are planting a biological stronghold. Even if you live in a region where the frost kills, you can exploit thermal microclimes. Use south-facing brick walls to store heat or create small, high-density greenhouses that mimic the heat of the tropics. This is how you hide your vitality from the cold and the prying eyes of the state. You aren't just growing a tree. You are engineering a survival environment that defies the climate patterns they say should limit you. For those trapped in the concrete jungles, stealth gardening is your only option. A simple 5-gallon bucket is enough to house this giant if you manage its height. By pruning the central leader, you force the tree to become a bush, keeping it discreet and manageable inside an apartment or on a hidden balcony. This allows you to stay off the grid, producing high-quality protein and vitamins without ever stepping into a monitored supermarket. The true power of this survival asset lies in its seeds. When a collapse scenario occurs, your biggest threat isn't hunger, it's contaminated water. Moringa seeds contain positively charged proteins that bind to bacteria and silt. Crushed seeds can purify gray water into a drinkable state, a secret known to few but vital for those who wish to survive when the municipal taps run dry. This makes the tree more than food. It is a tactical tool for long-term endurance in an unstable world. You must treat every seed as a unit of currency in the coming economy of scarcity. The system ignores this plant because it cannot be turned off by a switch. It is decentralized survival. They want you to rely on their centralized grids, but this botanical powerhouse is your declaration of autonomy. In the coming age of uncertainty, your backyard is the front line. Secure your seeds, learn the harvest, and become untouchable. To master this tree is to master the art of staying alive when the global logistical miracle finally fails. Every leaf harvested is a blow against the monopoly of the elite. Start your garden today without delay. Once you have the tree, you have a permanent insurance policy against the failing food supply. But how do you use it as a strategic asset when the Great Reset hits? When the grid goes dark and the just-in-time delivery systems freeze, the average person will realize their total dependency on the state is a death sentence. This is the total collapse scenario that the elite have already prepared for in their bunkers. But you have a different advantage, a biological force multiplier. Moringa is the ultimate freedom crop because it addresses the three pillars of survival simultaneously. When the meat aisles are empty and livestock is a memory, these leaves provide the essential amino acids your body needs to maintain muscle and cognitive function. It is a dense protein source that grows faster than you can harvest it. When the municipal pipes run dry or pump toxic sludge, you have a method to create life-sustaining hydration from the filth. And when the pharmacies are looted or the local clinic is shuttered, you possess a deep well of anti-inflammatory and antiseptic compounds to treat the wounds and illnesses of a broken world. This tree is not just a plant. It is a permanent insurance policy against the systemic failures that are now becoming inevitable. Being self-sovereign means having the means of your own survival in your hands, literally rooted in the soil. You no longer have to beg for rations or wait for a government check. You are the master of your biological destiny. The question isn't whether you can afford to grow this. The question is, can you afford to remain dependent on a system that profits from your decline? The window is closing. You need to download this broadcast right now before the censors find it and it gets flagged. This forbidden truth is a threat to their dominance. We are building a network of rebels who refuse to be victims of the nutritional matrix. Join the shadow education movement. Subscribe now to secure your access to the knowledge they want to bury forever. Share this link with those who are ready to wake up. Your survival depends on the specific actions you take today. They can control the stores, but they cannot control the soil. Grow the revolution.